to our Friday Live. Today on moving on up from year 6 to year 7. So covering the move that your child is likely to make from Key Stage 2 into Key Stage 3. And parents, you might find it relevant if your child is moving through schools a little bit differently, like moving up from first to middle, for example, from year 4 to year 5. And you still might find it relevant to hear about the changes that will happen when your child moves on up from upper Key Stage 2, which is year 6, into Key Stage 3, which is year 7. So when your child moves up school, there might be so many changes that they experience that they're not used to, like a longer school day and shorter lunches, 5 different lessons in different classrooms and different teachers, and from having a form tutor and registration, different uniform, and they might have longer to travel to school and use different transportation than what they're used to. So these are all things that might be daunting for both you and your child. So what you could do is you could share with your child how you feel and maybe share some tips on how to get set ready for secondary school. We have a really helpful resource on our website, which is a poster called Get Set for Secondary School, which you'll be able to find in the comments, and it will explain lots of different things like having your own independence, being organised, practice routines and staying positive, and make sure that you're talking to each other. So these are all things that you could go through on the poster with your child, like being a good friend and looking after yourself. And you could maybe ask your child which points of the poster they feel that they're most confident about, feel like that they will be good at. They might say, yes, I know I'm a good friend. I've been a good friend in my primary school. I know I can be a good friend. But they might then say, oh, but I'm actually finding it that I feel a little bit nervous about making new friends and there being new people around. So that having a poster to show your child is a really good way to get lots of things that they might feel about moving to secondary school ticking through their head, and opens up the opportunity to have a conversation with them about it. So there's lots of activities that your child would have already done if they've had a transition day where they've got to visit the school, or they will do at the start of the new year to settle in to their new surroundings. Like they might do all about me letters or posters that might even be displayed in their form rooms, and that might be a good time now, with a week coming up to starting their new school. It might be a good time to have that conversation with your child and think about maybe what are their hobbies and interests that they could share with others, that they could share in these type of activities, or talk about what they have already shared if they've done a transition day. And there is also a really good moving on booklet from moving on up from year 6 to year 7, which also covers information on the changes that your child is likely to see in lessons like English and maths. Now, if they've gone up from a primary to a secondary school, they might not even be used to having different classrooms and different teachers. So your teacher will make sure that they are giving enough time to your child to settle in, and they will be very supportive of these changes. And so really share with your child that the teachers all know what it's like and will all be very supportive to try and ease any anxieties there. And the Moving On Up activity booklet then has lots of different things, like an all about me letter that your child can practice, can maybe give to their new form tutor if they want to. And it also gives them lots of maths practice, punctuation practice, reading challenges, lots of practices that they are likely to see in year 7. So even if your child does go to a school where year 7 is in the same school, like if they go to a middle school and they've gone through year 5 and 6 in the same school, and they might have already experienced these changes, so they might be less anxious about it, but they will still are likely to have a new form tutor and to be experiencing the year 7 curriculum, which has changed. So they might like to have a go at the activities in the booklet, and the booklet also gives lots of information on what to expect in year 7, like what the changes to number and algebra and ratio and proportion and geometry, lots of different changes in maths and in English as well for their reading, writing, grammar and vocabulary and spoken English. And it's really informative, and also lets your child know that lots of the skills that they'll be learning maybe for the first time in year 7 are just adding on to what they have already learned. So it's not too scary. It just builds on concepts they've already learned in primary school or in year 6, and gives maybe more challenging text in English, or introduce new things building on what they've already learned in maths, for example. So there's lots of information that you can read through with your child. And there's also information on science as well, because going up from year 6 to year 7, your child might then experience science set out a bit differently. They might have just had science lessons in their primary school that are a couple of hours long, and they would have focused on biology, physics or chemistry, but they might not have necessarily been told that. So the booklet is really good at explaining to your child that in secondary school, science might be broken down into the 3 main concepts: biology, physics and chemistry, and it gives ideas of what sorts of topics fall into those as well. And so hopefully that will alleviate any worries about it being a brand new subject, something they've never done before. They have done those topics in primary school. It would have just been under the science branch. And then there's lots of activities that they can have a go at practicing for year 7 skills as well, which just builds on their prior skills. So there's lots of resources and activities to have a go at, regardless of your schooling system, because your child is likely to experience transition regardless of what schooling system you have. So when they move up to secondary school or through schools, there are lots of changes that might make you and your child feel a little bit nervous and anxious. So just the first tip I would give is to make sure that the communication is open with both your child's current school and new school. So let them know what your child is worried about. Your child has probably already had lots of crucial information shared to the new school. So the new school will be ready for your child. So it's really now just doing lots of the research, having a look at the websites, having a look if there's any maps, or maybe planning out your new route if there's a new route, and having a little go at the new route, just to make your child feel more secure and ready to start secondary school. So they might have already had a member of staff show them around the new school. They might have had transition days, but if not, that'll definitely be something that happens when they go on the first couple of days, and they will get to familiarise themselves with the building and any maps. And during the time now, like I've said, look through the website or prospectuses, and if you could think of any questions, maybe you could jot them down to remind your child that they're the questions that they want to ask. And you can discuss any images that you see on the website, perhaps link it back to the school they've already been to. So you could be like, oh, remember when you did this in PE? It looks like you get to do that in PE in your new school too. And see if there's any school values. You could maybe then discuss websites and consequences, and anything that is on the school website about consequences and rules, discuss why they might be there to keep your child safe. So it's important that your child is really aware of the new school that they're going to and how they will feel. And it's okay if they feel a little bit nervous or scared. You could perhaps ask your child to rate their emotions. Like I mentioned in my last live, you could get your child to maybe do an emoji self-assessment. So draw the emoji that they feel, fill out one of the quizzes that I mentioned, and have a go at the quiz to see how they feel about moving up to school, to a new school. and ensure that you will feel organised. Organised is really important. So you could encourage your child to go shopping with you, fill up their new bag full of the equipment they need. The new school might have given you a list that your child could create a checklist if they wanted to, and they might be given like due dates for homeworks and things like that. So you could talk about how to keep their school diary organised if they've got one given to them from the school, or how they could organise their homework. You could also discuss with your child about doing a bit of a routine plan or a checklist that you can use at home. On our website as well, we also do have top 10 tips for parents and carers when transitioning up to secondary school. So this has lots of tips on how to encourage your child to be independent in the last year of primary school. They would have become more independent and they would have been prepared for it. And it's just carrying it on and practicing. And be tech ready as well. So when you're looking through the website, you could then have a little think about the rules that your school has. They might have social media rules and when they can use devices at school. So you could go through them with your child and listen to what your child has to say as well. Talk to your child about how they're feeling and reassure them that everyone is in the same boat and it is natural to feel a little bit nervous, and talk to them about your own experiences and how you have felt in experiences and in times of change as well. So there's lots of tips on that resource that you can go to, and just remember to be positive and encourage your child to talk to you about how they feel, and I'm sure everything will be fine. So I hope you've enjoyed today's live on transitioning up from year 6 to year 7. If you want to join me on Monday, I will be doing a live on letter writing day. I'll see you then.